Make sure I got all my little things started that I'm supposed to start here. Looks like I do. All right. Welcome to take 2 of the supercup.org update from a couple weeks ago. We had a slight internet issue. I must warn you, it's been raining here for 3 days straight. As you can see, it's still raining, and down here in Arkansas. And so we're going to jump right back in, and we're going to do a really quick review of what we talked about last time. And then we are going to jump right into right where we left off. You can go watch the first presentation on this subject on YouTube, still out there. And this will be the continuation of that after just a really quick recap and a couple blanks that I want to fill in on some things that I forgot about. So, as always, this is event, the Hump Day Hanger presentations are sponsored by supercup.org and the Not So Straight and Level podcast. Feel free to share any of this information with your friends. I will tell you that in probably soon, because of the way Zoom has changed some things, I'm going to be coming up with a new link for the Wednesday night presentations, and but you'll be getting emails and everything else about it, so it'll be easy to figure out. On that note, next week, anticipating that you will all be glued to the television to still watch the vote counting, we are going to have a bye. So we will not be joining next week, and I'm going to figure out what we're going to do the week after that. So stay tuned. Maybe here in a couple weeks we'll have something going on again. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump right back into our presentation. If I can figure out how to do it. All right, so last time, I'm going to jump through some stuff pretty quick here. Let's do this. Again, I do want to give this disclaimer again, which is that I'm certain I'm going to leave some important pivotal moments and important people out of this presentation, and I apologize in advance. There are so many people that we've met and been involved with, and so many things have happened over these years. There's no way I can cover all of it or mention everyone. So my apologies in advance. I'll probably have to do a number 3 of these to catch up on all the things I left out. So I'm going to whiz through these next few slides. We talked about the fact last time that all of this started with an airplane crash. You can go back and watch the other YouTube if you didn't see it. And we talked about this guy who got me back in the air. There's some stuff about me being a pilot, my first Super Cub, some initial stuff about supercup.org. This guy that's the grandfather of supercup.org. You're going to see more about him later. Which way it's going, which nobody knows. And how things started in 2002. So this is an important slide, however, just to refresh our memories that it's really not about airplanes, it's about people. And so just something to bear in mind through all of this. And I think it becomes evident that that's the case as we go along here. We talked a little bit about gatherings. Mainly, we talked about the New Holstein gathering in New Holstein, Wisconsin. And we talked about this guy a little bit, who gave me some gruff about calling him the bald guy. I should have called him the guy who shaved his head to be bald guy. His name is Mark Drath, or Boz, and he's the one who got the New Holstein flying started. And we talked a little bit about Ben Felicity a couple of weeks ago too, and what happened in Wisconsin here when we got rained in. And I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit here past this stuff that we already saw. We talked about the New Holstein get-together in those first couple of years, and I found a couple more slides, which I think are pretty good. One of the things we did traditionally at New Holstein was have a pig roast. And for the first, 5 years of it probably, we did the work ourselves, or I should say 1 or 2 people did the work themselves, stood around and watched the pig while the rest of us flew around and did other things. So this is the first or second year. You can see that we get the ground nice and burned when we do this. And the pig is in the little spinner there for probably 10 or 12 hours before we take it out. And we put it on the hood of the Jeep to carve. Now, you'll notice that there was no plastic in between the pig and the Jeep, but that's the Jeep had been sanitized, so it was all ready to go. And so that's Mark Drath's Jeep there that we use to prepare the pig on and serve it off of. Another one of the things that Mark, and this is a Dennis Brannon on the left side as well, who's another New Holstein local who has helped out with the fly-in for every year that we've had it. He's a local New Holstein guy, airplane builder and a lot. And they introduced us to the Wisconsin fish boil. And what they're throwing on the fire there is not water, but is in fact a little bit of probably, I can't remember if it was 100 low lead or kerosene that they throw on it, but that gets the pot boiling and boils over, and it's all very exciting and very tasty, I might add. So if you haven't been to a Wisconsin fish boil and you like fish at all, it's awesome. You should go do it. It's a fun time. We did not continue that tradition after a few years. It turned out not as many people like fish as we thought at once. So that's where that went. I hope to bring it back someday, though. The other thing that we did one year is we went and did bar stool racing in a town northwest of, I think it was Appleton, northwest of New Holstein. We all got in cars, piled up there. These are little electric bar stools, and they are, you jump on these things, they're very top heavy, and zoom around the bar as fast as you can. They are way faster than you would imagine, and it's just a big circular bar. And you sign a waiver that makes a waiver that you signed to go to a fly-in look like something to go to kindergarten. I mean, the waiver was like 2 pages long or something like that to drive these electric bar stools. But of course, we all did it. And of course, there may have been some alcohol involved. So another shot of Mark Drath here. Again, he was the guy who really got the New Holstein fly-in started. And I'm going to stop just a minute here because in a few minutes, I'm going to talk about some of the direction of supercub.org. And Mark, whose handle on the website is supercubmd or supercub doctor, was one of the first of several people to really start talking about technical things on the website, start helping other people with problems they were having with their super cubs. Mark had has a vast knowledge of super cubs as well. And so he was sharing a lot of that information early on the website, and that helped develop it into kind of the technical site that it's become today. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute too. I told you last week about these two guys, Randy and Cody Murphy, who were at the very first New Holstein fly-in, and from there they started their own little event with another guy named Larry Singley down in Texas called the Texas Super Cub Cavalcade, and this was in 2003. I covered a lot of this in the last one. We met here, I believe this is Amarillo, and we saw Bob Breeden water skiing, the Palo Duro Canyon. And it was about here that I think my video fritzed out. This was the little Oklahoma Boys Roundup over here. They had their own little section at Murph's Lodge, and they had their wagons all circled up very nicely down there. So we had a really nice meetup there. We went to places all over Texas, and Murph and Larry did a great job of sending us all over the place, and we really had a great time. We did a lot of flying together. This is not a very clear picture, but you remember this is 2003. The state of cameras and the state of photos and digital photography has changed so dramatically since this time. The handheld things we have, our telephones are considerably better than whatever camera I was using here to take this picture. So this is one of our little pre-flight briefings. That's Bob Butler there in the photo. He just passed away this last year. He's the one looking at the sheet there. He was always at our events. Randy Murphy on the right, and Ron Massey, Bob Breeden, and Eric Talafero. This is the young-looking little punk over there in the Budweiser hat. So pretty good group of folks. A lot of you have met these people over the years. Another shot of the folks that were at the event. This is the Texas Cavalcade. We frequently would come into places, I believe this is Ranger, Texas, but I'm not 100% sure. We would come into places and be 14 airplanes on final. And so it was always interesting at airports when they heard that call when we came in. We ate pretty well. Here's a young-looking Rick Papp holding up a little one of the evening's meals. Of course, Randy Murphy on the left and Larry Singley, the other organizer of the event, on the right. This guy nobody's seen for a long time. This is Pat Swoboda, who we met for the first time. He was actually a Kansas City guy, but I met him the first time down here in Texas. And I like this picture with his little, what he called his cub heaters that he was wearing. And we spent about 45 minutes getting his tie downs out of the clay soil. And it was kind of a fun day, but Pat's still running around somewhere. Haven't seen him lately. So not everything goes as planned on these events. And as we were flying along, suddenly we looked down and somebody from somewhere had had a mishap in a field. And so we all stopped in to check it out. A couple guys out there already looking around. Fortunately, very nearby, we had a prop shop that was able to help straighten the prop out. I just want to tell you for sure that the beer that Joe Dale in the truck is holding is a light beer. It's not a full strength beer. So as they were straightening out the prop on this pilot, whose name we were never able to get, who had this little issue when we were there in Texas. Another night we went to Kitty Hill, Texas. If you've ever been to that airport, it's a really big, neat airport, and it had a huge turnout there. They brought out just everything that they had, including, at the time, about the largest bonfire I had ever seen. It singed all of those trees. So they were bound and determined to make us aware that everything is bigger in Texas, including the bonfires. This young guy flying in the front of my Super Cub is now flying C-130s into Antarctica and other places. This is Jake Papp and Rick Papp's son. A lot of you have met him. I think he was about 16 or 17 years old here. So I'm sure that I'm responsible for him going on to fly C-130s by just giving him that 30 minutes or so in the front seat of my Super Cub. At least that's the way I like to think about it. We did have a few things happen on the trip. This was another little mishap. This airplane was sort of attracted to fences, and it seems to be sort of a recurring theme in this pilot's repertoire. So this was just one of the other little things that happened. At let's see, this was the Idlewild Ranch in West Texas, kind of in the hill country of Texas. And just a beautiful place with a paved runway and incredible evening on our last evening on the Super Cub cavalcade. The gentleman that owned the property, whose name I can't remember, had a steerman and a helicopter and some other things to entertain us with while we were there, and a beautiful home as well. So it was an amazing event that was put on by these folks, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. So we've had lots of other really great events over the years. A follow-up event to that one, which I believe was the very next year, was the New Mexico Super Cub Roundup put on by the folks down in the corner there, Ron Massey and Junior Hammock. And we did a similar thing, traveled all around New Mexico, flew over the White Sands, did not land on the shuttle runway in White Sands. We were cautioned not to do that, and we didn't. But it was really a neat thing to be able to fly over all of that. Of course, many of you folks have been to the Johnson Creek Super Cub fly-in. Hoping this year to have these events. Had an email exchange with the new mayor of New Holstein today. The city council is going to be taking up next week part of whether the decision to have folks back for fly-ins there or not. So we're waiting for that word. Of course, the WAD fly-in moved this year to a new location, and I understand that was a rousing success. Really glad to see that great event be passed on and to be continued. Ohio Bush Plains fly-in was a great old fly-in. OK-18, Mike and Patty Sizemore's fly-in. Red River Redneck fly-in. All these great events that we've had over the years. Again, if I started to list them all, I tried to list them all, I absolutely couldn't do it. So these have been really the heart of supercub.org because they've gotten people to meet each other. The same as the one we have some smaller events up in Alaska as well too that have brought people together that has been very important to connecting folks together. So speaking of connecting folks, and I talked a little bit before about the technical aspect of the forums. I'm not exactly sure what year this was, but Steve Pierce had held a Super Cub fabric restoration seminar down in Graham, Texas. So it was probably around 2006 was the first year that I attended. And I think that may have been the first year. Clyde Smith was there, who you can see in the picture in the upper left. He's the guy on the left. And a lot of us assembled in Graham and learned all we could about fabric repair and all kinds of other things in a couple, 2 or 3 nonstop days. Steve and Kathy put this event on for a number of years after that. And it really was a fantastic time to get together with folks. We all learned a lot. The picture on the right is that in Breckenridge, in the hangars over there at Izel's, where Steve would take us through and show us where all the warbirds are rebuilt and repaired. So it was really a neat opportunity. A lot of work for Steve. Where we are, I don't know if he's ever going to have a reunion event or not, but if he does, I'll bet a lot of people will show up. So it was a good time, but it was starting to drag into about a week and a half event for him, because everybody would show up early. So one of the things, though, as I said before, between Mark Drath as an early technical guy, Steve really started some of the technical discussion on the forum, and to this day tends to try to help anyone with a technical question, and we get a lot of things answered, a lot of things straightened out. He tends to have not necessarily the last word always, but some good words when there's a technical problem on the website or a technical problem with anybody's airplanes, and we sure appreciate his knowledge. So along that same technical vein, one of the things that's happened is a lot of people building airplanes. So we have our member projects in progress forum, and as you can see, looking on the right hand on the columns there, some of these have some of the highest views of anything on the website, with Bill Rusk's building a Javron thread with over 1 million views of that thread, thousands of replies, 500,000 views on Lowrider LSA, and there's a lot of excellent information that has been collected about building airplanes. If somebody you know is building a Super Cub or even similar to that, this is absolutely the best resource for getting information about what to do and what not to do, certainly too. So, this is all people taking the extra time. The amount of time it would take to build an airplane, I can't even imagine. That's just not something I'm mentally capable of. The amount of time it would take to build an airplane, and then they're going to take the additional time to document that for other folks to learn from it. And I just really think that's fantastic, and appreciate all of you folks who have taken the time to do that, the folks that are doing it now, and will do it in the future. So if you're thinking about building an airplane, we sure appreciate you documenting the process, and it helps everybody along. Oh, more years ago than I can remember now, Randy Korfman approached me, Dr. Randy, as many of you know, and said, Steve, what do you think about having a forum section where I answered questions about pilot medicals? Do you think anybody would be interested in that? And I said, absolutely. And so that's what started the Medical Matters Forum. You'll notice some other big aviation forums have followed suit. AOPA and some other things have similar type forums. In fact, some of them are called Medical Matters. So it's been really great. Randy's been such an incredible resource for so many of us, answered so many questions, and continues to help pilots really literally all over the world work through medical situations, answer questions, and resolve issues for them as they go through the process. If you haven't taken advantage of that, it's one of the benefits of being a member of the website, being able to ask questions and answer those with Randy there, and we absolutely appreciate his involvement in that. And as well as being a great AME and a great gynecologist, he also is the shooter at the new Holstein stole contest or stole demonstration that we do every year. And you see that picture of him there. He's the one who sends the planes off. And so he gets to have a little fun too, not just answer all medical questions. So we greatly appreciate you, Randy. So on Sunday nights, we look at how my picture just kind of fits in. That's pretty slick. So on Sunday nights, we started a thing a while back, sort of. We used to have a typing chat. There's a little chat room where you get on and type messages to each other and all that sort of thing. We used to do that on Sunday evenings. It was called Gunny's Sunday Night Super Cub Happy Hour. And George Gownder, Gunny used to be kind of the moderator of that, when people would get on and chat the night away. And there were no, now we're doing sort of the same thing electronically. So we have a Zoom night on Sunday nights. The link is in the members area. We don't have any specific topics necessarily. Sometimes there's 2 of us there. Sometimes there's 15 of us there. So it can just be an interesting conversation. There's been discussion about having topical evenings and that sort of thing. Who knows what it will evolve into. I do want to point out to the Super Cub people that we don't always talk about sky wagons, but sometimes we do. And so there's a link in the members area to that. That's 7 p.m. Central Time on Sunday evenings. And you get a mix of folks there on those nights. So stop in if you'd like to do that at some point. So the heart of supercub.org are the people that are contributing to it. And just to give you a little idea, these are people with more than 500 posts. The people in the first few people there have more than 10,000 posts. And then we have, I can't remember if it was 5,000 and 2,500 or what my breakdowns were. But a lot of people have contributed a lot of time in helping other folks deal with all kinds of different stuff on the website. And we appreciate all of those people, not just those that have helped, but also those who have asked the questions, those who've posted videos, those who've posted pictures. Maybe it's a story, maybe it's a joke, maybe it's a part of the hunting thread, but all of those things are a part of the fabric of what makes supercub.org what it is. And I've said now a number of times, it is the people that make it. So the current state of affairs at supercub.org. Interest in Super Cubs is at an all-time high. Values of the airplanes are still very high. There's a few out there for sale, but they do pretty well get snapped up if they're in any good shape at all. So still a very popular airplane for folks, and a lot of high interest in them. Supercub.org also has a lot of non-Super Cub information. We noticed that a lot of folks own Super Cubs and Sky Wagons, so there's quite a lot of discussion about Sky Wagons and other airplanes on the site. Certainly Aviat Huskies and Scouts and all of these other airplanes as well too we talk about. Our supporting membership is at an all-time high. It has grown slowly over the years, and this year jumped up again. And we right now have around 1,700 supporting members of supercub.org. And thank you all very much for being part of that group. I appreciate it. Our website traffic is taking a significant jump in the last 12 or 14 months. And so that is also at an all-time high. The forum usage is at an all-time high. These Hump Day, with this program being the exception tonight, the Hump Day programs have been very well received. We've had a lot of folks watching them, especially after the fact on YouTube. We've gotten an opportunity to get to know some really interesting people through those programs, and I'm looking forward to meeting more of them. So my intention is to keep doing this as long as we can. I have not been as good about being organized and getting the next one set up as I need to be. And I have been getting some nudges from folks about that, and I appreciate that. I do want to keep after it. So we'll keep this thing going as long as we can. So, and the 2021 calendar campaign is about to begin. So we'll talk about that more in a minute. So the things that kind of keep me up at night relative to supercub.org and the community, there's an incredible wealth of information that we have out there, and organizing that in a more user-friendly form has been a long-term nemesis of mine. I hope to someday get better at it. I'll keep trying, but the ability to access all of the information that we've accumulated easily is one of the big challenges I know for folks accessing the website, and it is something that I think about a lot. I think a lot about how to best serve the member community, the folks that are supporting me and supporting the website, and what's the best way that I can serve you. I'm always interested in your feedback, positive or negative or whatever. It's good to hear, and we need to hear it. So if you have suggestions and those kinds of things, they're always welcome. I think with having more road behind me than ahead of me, I would say, as I know some of you are in the same boat, keeping relevant with younger aviators is something that's important to me. We do have some young folks, and yet more and more young folks coming in. I was just reading a couple threads here recently of some new young folks that have bought Super Cubs and have started to become involved in the forums, and I really like to see that, and I think it's important for all of us to do what we need to do to keep things relevant for them. Finally, the other thing that keeps me up at night is not having enough hours in the day. And sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and think about what I need to do. Right now, it's working on the calendar. So speaking of the calendar, the 2021 Super Cub calendar cover photo is an incredible shot by Paul Claus, which you can see right here. So Paul, over the years, has sent in incredible shots from the land that he lives in, the things that he sees every day, which to us are just totally amazing. And this year was no exception. He always sends in more pictures than I can use. It would be very easy to do a Paul Claus calendar. Fortunately, we do the image archive as well, so you can get to see the rest of the photos. But it was a really hard to select a cover photo this year, not just from Paul's pictures, but from all of them. There were some really outstanding photos. You'll get to see those in the calendar, which will go to print here in just a couple weeks, and we'll be shipping out soon. So just to recap, if you folks aren't familiar with the calendar, you can get calendars by becoming a member of supercub.org at a certain level, and we'll send out a bunch of emails and stuff about that. We limit the quantities of the calendars, so this year will be the same case. Usually it's somewhere between 3,500 and 4,500 calendars that we buy and ship. And the campaign will start here in just a few days at the end of October. So you'll start seeing some emails about that and getting your orders ready. So be prepared to be inundated with reminders about the calendar campaign if you're not getting inundated with enough emails already about other things going on in the world. So I appreciate your support, though. The calendar campaign at the end of the year, a lot of your renewals happen at the end of the year, and I appreciate everyone that has supported supercub.org through the calendar campaign, and it's what keeps us going. So thank you very much. So I have a few parting thoughts, and I'll just read them to you. Our greatest joy has been to watch lifelong friendships develop among our members. When two people or a group of people get together at one of our events or meet some other way and are connected then to go and do things on their own, really one of the greatest feelings for me is to see those friendships being built. So it's been a tremendous reward. It's truly a privilege to serve you all. Your support of Laura and Billy and I can't say thank you enough. And supercub.org is a little over 20 years old. So here's to another 20 years. So I will take a few questions. Let me see if I can get this thing turned off here. If anybody has some questions they would like to ask, let me see, look at the chat here. No, apparently I've covered it all, so I don't have to say anything. Did I miss anything, Laura Johnson?
Yeah, there's a question that people ask you probably more than any other question.
And what is that?
They'd like to know the identity of an infamous character.
Oh, the identity of an infamous character. And would that infamous character be a Diggler? Is that the infamous character everybody wants to know the identity of?
I think so.
Well, I guess, you know, with the statute of limitations and everything else such as it is, I guess I can just probably go ahead.
Oh, no. Hang on, let me find out what's going on. I think we're going to have to move the Hump Day Hanger presentations to another night. He's had another crash there. Well, I guess that's it for tonight, folks. Thanks for joining us and for supporting supercub.org. We really appreciate y'all.